Hey, Brittany, how are you?
Hi, Amy. I'm doing so good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited for you to be here. So, before we dive in, can you just share a little bit about you and who you are and yeah, what do you do? Who do you help?
Yeah, all the things, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
so I'm a certified functional nutrition consultant as well as certified hormone specialist. Within that, I specialize in helping women with their menstrual cycles, particularly in the ages around 20 to 30. But of course, everything that I talk into to help those women can help literally any age. So yeah, it's really exciting to dive into this. And so I don't know if you want me to share a little bit of like my background and what led me into this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
start?
Yeah. So, whew, how to shorten this story? Because I feel like for us, I cannot be the only one. I feel like we can write multiple books on the stories that have led us into whether that's overall vaginal health or menstrual health or anything like that. Um, but to simplify and shorten that story, essentially for me, it kicked off with having horrible periods lasting for like 10 days, and it's heavy bleeds for a solid 10 days. This all started like right in the first year or two of having going into puberty, and I struggled with that for so long, especially in school. Like I literally was falling asleep at my desk because I was so fatigued. I just couldn't function. And later learned that that's a concept of PMS. And so can roll into, of course, before your period and as well into your period. And then, of course, there's other things that tie into it. And of course, was put on birth control at a very young age to stabilize all that. That led into some horrible reactions to birth control, but I just didn't know it was towards birth control. Now, this is my story. That doesn't pertain to everyone. Sometimes birth control can be useful to some.
Mm.
But for me and how my body reacted to it, for so long, I had no idea. And I was put on so many different ones, pills to shots to I resulted into an IUD that stopped my period altogether, and I was super happy and loving life. Well, it turned out to create horrible gut complications for me that led into horrible UTIs, to vaginal infections, to even going through yeast infections.
Hmm.
And so all of a sudden, my life has just gone into this haywire reaction. And finally, getting off birth control, stabilizing my gut health, and supporting my menstrual cycle, and learning all of this along the way has really transformed me. I love my period, and I never thought I would ever say that in a million years.
Oh,
Yeah, I have built a beautiful relationship with it, and I'm just totally shocked. I literally would never put, if you told me way back when, like, Brittany, you're going to be coming into this and you're going to be helping women and you're going to love your period, I would have been like, you're nuts. Because who in their right mind loves their period? But it was just the understanding that like we don't have to suffer.
mm.
That is not how our body is built. And I think society and the women before us, right, was ever always cultivating of just that's just what you deal with. And that's not true. That is a lie. And so I just really want to advocate for women to find their relief and then enjoy their true self and all that comes with it.
Wow, powerful. Thank you for sharing all that. And honestly, I feel you. We definitely share similar experiences, especially with like the 10 days, the all the different kinds of birth controls, the heavy bleeds.
Mm.
No joke, after I had my daughter, it continued for a while, like the really heavy, hard periods and the PMS and stuff. I was saying I would rather go through childbirth again than experience my period. So totally feel you. Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. And then one time, like, I think it was like 21 days. Like, it was almost like I bled for the
Oof.
whole cycle. And yeah, I started passing out, fainting.
Oh, wow.
My body was so just exhausted, physically exhausted. My immune system was physically exhausted. I developed chronic bronchitis
Oh,
during that time. Yeah, it was, and it's something that like it's been long standing now because it the my immune system just couldn't handle it. So thank
wow.
you. Oh my God, for sharing all that. And
Yeah.
recently, I'll just share a little bit about me to meet you where you're at. Like falling in love with my period, falling in love with my cycle, like, and the different phases and the roles that they play. It's been a journey for sure. One of the
Yeah.
motivators to get on this call with you and to meet you, and also just following your content because we met like 2 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Wow, time flies.
yeah, it does for sure. It's like, and so you've totally been one of my motivators, but also having a
Mm,
daughter.
mm,
And like you just coming into my life at that time was so divine and meant to be because I've learned so much from your content. You do put a lot of good stuff out there. And it set those seeds for me to talk to Emmy about different things and coming into the world and being prepared to meet ourselves where we're at. I run my own
mm,
business, and one of the things that was holding me back definitely for so long was I can't schedule when I have low energy. And
mm,
so that
mm.
fear kind of, yeah, it was holding me back. So thank you for coming into my life when you did. I'm so
Of
grateful.
course.
Uh,
I love hearing that. So you don't get to see that. Like for whoever's listening, like if you're in the social media standpoint and posting content, like you feel like it's all on you and you feel like you're the only one who cares about it. And so thank you so much for telling me that like, oh, people actually watch this and there's value in it. That's good to hear.
You bet, you bet. Thank you. Just because of like following you along for this long, I've actually even scheduled my moon phases or my menstrual cycles
Love it.
into my calendar. And so there's a reminder when I'm in my luteal phase or when my ovulation phase is coming. I don't actually haven't targeted my ovulation phase yet, but I put my like 2 weeks for my follicular phase. And then, yeah, my
Yeah.
luteal phase, my menstrual cycle, all that. And then understanding what foods and exercises. Trying, anyways. It's a lot, but
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. Yes, it can be very overwhelming. So yeah, always start with just one particular phase, learn about that, and then move into the next one and next and take it one step at a time. So I think you're doing it beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you. So good. We're so many of us were taught that our period is, yeah, something that you get and you have to, like, you're forced to have it and you're
Mhm.
forced to go through it and it's more of a burden. So, yeah, thank you for the work that you do and bringing it forward. I'm curious, can you break down some of the different like phases and what's actually happening in our bodies?
Yeah, of course. So there are a couple phases into your menstrual cycle. Another important information I like to share sometimes is when we talk into menstrual cycle, it's not all about the period. In fact, the period is actually not the main star of the show. That is your ovulation. Without your ovulation, you can't have a period. So I know, isn't that like wild? When I learned that, I like blew my mind. I was like, it's always the period because that's
Right.
the thing we feel and see, right?
Yeah.
Understandable. But yeah, so you have a couple of different phases that make up your menstrual cycle. So the first phase is called the follicular phase, and it actually is a two-part. So your menstrual cycle or your menses, or sorry, your period and your menses, interchangeable terminology, but essentially that's your first phase of your follicular phase. Sorry, first part of your follicular phase. And
Really?
then, yeah, and then it rolls into the second part, which is after your period, before your ovulation. Then you have your ovulation phase, and then you have your luteal phase, the week roughly about 2 weeks, roughly before your period begins again. So that's the entire cycle. Some concepts I like to share about it is that in your period phase, is sometimes what I like to call it to simplify things. is where we kind of do naturally roll into low energy, as our all our hormones are dropping into a low standpoint. And so it is very common for not